Hey all, I'm sharing my screen, right? And can you confirm that I am audible and clear? Anyone, you can post it in the chat channel. Okay. Anil has confirmed. Thank you very much. Right. So the objective of our course is to learn Power BI and PostgreSQL, right? Now, and we are targeting Power BI data analyst certification, that is we call as PL300, which is a very demanding one, right, in the data analyst world, right? Now, what is the main purpose of learning these two things, right? Why I need to choose a data analyst role or a data related projects or data related technology stack, right? For that one, I just want to show you a simple flow. Let me come to that one. Yeah, here it is, right? Now, if you see this one, data to insights journey, right? In the current world, we all know that a lot of things are being digitalized. Now, when we say digitalized, everything is captured in the software, right? Earlier, when you have a small shop, definitely you use it to maintain that shop through a books, right? Or writing the all the transactions on a book and just summing up and closing that balance sheet for the day and closing the things, right? But with the technology evolving, right, and the appetite to increase the business has created the demand that every small or medium-sized organizations, right, they also started using the technology, right? Why I'm stressing small or medium? Because the big organizations have from long time they are using technology, right? Now, all these organizations, when started using technology, there is a huge demand for some areas like data analytic areas, right? Cyber security, right? AI, machine learning, all these things are having good demand. Now, one of the mainstream is data engineers or data analyst, right? With the technology growing and the data being captured, because in today's world, trillions of data or trillions of records are being captured in the systems across the globe. Now, the organizations and the industry needs a lot of skilled engineers or data analysts who can organize this data, right, in a right way and use that for the business purpose. Because in the initial days, right, maintaining all this data related to the transactions information, right, observations, all those become like a burden. Banks, everything, they use it to keep all this data like a storage purpose, right? So day-to-day transactions are happening, they are keeping in a databases or systems in files or somewhere. Now, over a period of time, the technology technocrats has realized that why don't we do analytics on this data, right? And that resulted in lot of more opportunities, right? Where we can understand the trends of the customer, behavior of the customer, right? Sales trends and all those things, and that helps us to grow our business, right? And if you see on the left side, we have a data factory, right? Where data is generated through manually or through some devices. Suppose if you have a device that measures the temperatures, right? We are going to have the devices that measures the stock of prices, which changes very frequently. All those information would be captured in the data factory, and we may using the databases or storage devices, Hadoop, cloud, AWS, Google Clouds, different things, right? And our Power BI is going to help all this data to be converted into meaningful insights. The Power BI has the capability to connect 99% systems, those are currently available in the market, those maintains the data, right, and generate dashboards, reports, right? Meaningful insights to the business or day-to-day workers so that they can take right level of decisions for the business operations or the strategic decisions, right? So this is one of the Power BI business intelligence tool, right? And across this journey, there are different tools being used, right? Because this is journey is not just sitting at one place, right? This journey moves from different stages, and for each stage, we are using different technologies or tech stacks, right? Now, let me show you another diagram. Now, if you see here, our data to insight journey, right? We have broken into the four parts like operational data. If you see here, when we say operational data, if you go to the bank, right? Uh, the banks use it to enroll the customers, open the accounts for them, and do the day-to-day transactions. These are all the operational data, or we call it as operations, right? So there can be a front-end laptops or some kind of devices which automatically captures it. Suppose a customer enters, he use the ATM machine, they would be captured as a events. A customer comes to the front desk associate, and he would be taking some help. All those would be captured in the databases, right? Now, this operational data is moved into the ETL space, data ingestion or ETL. What we call is ETL means extract, transformation, load, right? So a copy of the operational database is kept into the ETL world for the analytical purpose, right? And this ETL world job is done by data engineers, or that would be stored in the Azure Data Factory or Google Cloud, S3 buckets, Hadoop file systems. And this ETL going to drive analytical part. Okay. Now, when you say the analytical data storage and processing means normally in the analytical world, right? Our regular data, our operational data is stored in the summarized manner, right? When I say summarized manner, say if you have the transaction years of 1 year, in the analytical part, that would be aggregated month wise. You would be seeing a simple table that would be having the aggregated value of all the transactions in a monthly sales, quarterly sales, yearly sales, like that. Okay. On top of this analytical processing, we are going to build the data modeling and visualizations, right? And as a Power BI data analyst, this is going to be our major role, right? And PostgreSQL or data warehousing is going to be our minor subject, right? I'm honestly saying, okay, many will say that, okay, boss, we need to learn end-to-end journey, but students, right, who are new to the IT world, right? An experienced person, definitely he should have a understanding and deep knowledge about the end-to-end flows, right? But the students who are completely new to the IT or they want to change the IT career, definitely we should pick any one of these stream and expertise in that one. And slowly, as and when we progress in our organization, we should gain the knowledge into the rest of the world. Okay, this is my strong feeling as a trainer, and I would suggest the same thing. And many student has success in it. Okay, what I say is, if you are a beginner, right, or new to the IT, let us pick one of the stream. Either it can be a data analyst stream or data engineer stream, right? One of them, and then be expert in that one, right? That is the reason we have introduced the course of Power BI. Okay. And why Power BI? Because in the market, we have two major tools are there. One is Power BI and another one is Tableau, right? Both are market leaders. And as a Power BI trainer, I'm selling why Power BI is good is because it's a Microsoft Office tool, Microsoft tool. The user interface, right? The way we work it, let me open the Power BI also so that I can show you, right? The way Power BI looks, it is more or similar to like Microsoft Office tool, like Microsoft Office, Excel, PowerPoint, right? All these things. Even what I feel is that if you put Excel, PowerPoint into the mixed juicer, and the Power BI will come to you. Okay, let me open one of the recent report, right? If you see the user interface, like the options we are available, these tabs and everything, these are very closely designed in line with the Microsoft Office tool. Let me open the Excel. See, in the Excel, right, we are going to have different tabs where the similar options are grouped, and you can store the data in the tabular form. Here also we have the tabular view where I can see data for each and every table. See, similarly, like how we do the activities in the PowerPoint presentation, right? If you see, this is the PowerPoint presentation where we are creating different visualizations, right? Same thing, you have the reporter view. In the reporter view, we are going to create different kind of visuals. Those are going to help the business take the decisions. And we are going to learn the AI visuals also. If you see here, key influencer, decompository, smart narrative, we are going to learn in detail about the artificial intelligence visuals. Many students has a doubt whether this AI is going to take our jobs. No, what as a trainer, right? Having exposure to the industry over the past decades, right? What I feel is that the new technology helps us to simplify our job. It's just we need to understand how to use it. This is my honest answer. No technology is going to remove our jobs, but it is going to make our life easier. It's just we need to learn how to use that technology, right? So, as a part of Power BI, we are going to learn all these visuals, bar visuals, column visuals, line charts, tree maps, maps visual, area charts, right? A detailed, in-depth uh, classes would be done on the Power BI. And we will make sure you are ready to take the certification of PL 300, Power BI Intermediate Certificate. I'm going to give more details when we come to the certification part. Hmm? Right? And we are going to have a special section on A visuals, how they work, how to be handling that one. And also, I'm going to show you how this A visuals helps us to do the job very faster also. Okay. Any doubts or queries with respect to the Power BI? Anything till now? Okay, let me come back to the presentation. You can post over the chat channel, Ajim. As I told you, right? I have muted everyone so that there won't be background noise capturing. But any doubts or any queries, immediately post it in the chat channel. I would be seeing quickly, right? Right. So this is all about Power BI. Now, what is the purpose of PostgreSQL and the data warehousing? Why we have included these two topics or these two subjects also in our course, right? Let me come back to our presentation once again, right? So as a data engineer, data analyst, right, we should be having basic understanding, right, how our data is coming or it is organized just before I'm going to use, right? So I'm a Power BI expert, it does not mean that I have a zero knowledge about the data that is coming to me, right? We should be having some good level of understanding, not a deep, a good level of understanding. Okay, the data that I am pulling from a SQL database or Postgres SQL database or any Hadoop systems, how it is organized in that world, right? Normally, what happen is the data engineers do this job. We data analysts use that data and create visualizations, right? Now, when a data engineer says, okay, boss, I'm giving you the data in this format. I have 10 tables. One table is having customer information, another table is having transactions information, right? And there would be some basic database rules are there. He would be saying, these are all the rules. Now, as a Power BI analyst, we need to understand, yes, is the data that is provided by my source systems is in line with the agreements that we done, right? So how we can challenge them if it is not in line with the aggregation is by learning a good level of understanding with the SQL, right? The main purpose of taking Postgres SQL is that we want to learn SQL, structured query language. Now, this SQL is a universal language for all the databases. Like if we learn English, right, we can manage across the world. Will you all agree with me? Right? Similarly, if you are strong in the fundamentals of the SQL, when you go to the organizations, when you are selected into any company, say if they say that, boss, we are using Teradata as a database, then obviously SQL would be the one that is going to be used to interact with the Teradata. If they say let's SQL Server, yes, SQL would be there. More or less, there would be some different in terms of syntaxes, like how American English and the UK English, there is a difference, right? Or Chinese English, similar like that. Yes, relational databases. You are right, Daniel. Right? And the Postgres SQL is a open source, free of cost, right? When we say open source means, yes, they are giving it with free of cost, the full version, so that we can learn as much as we want, right? As a part of our course, we are going to cover the fundamentals, those are required to handle a database. This is like a minor subject. Similarly, data warehousing, right? This data warehousing is a age-old name, but still it is intact. Okay, whatever we term data lake, warehouse, warehouse, lake house, different names are name has came, but the underlying concept starts with the data warehousing, right? We all know technology has evolved a lot, but still every student in their academics, they learn Newton's law in the physics. Will you agree with me or not? Same thing that we need to learn what is data warehousing, right? Where it started, right? On top of it, how the different technologies has evolved. Okay. So in this way, as a part of our course curriculum, data warehousing, Postgres are going to be minor subject. Power BI is going to be major subject, right? And we are going to cover all these three things in 3 weeks. Okay, first week covering data warehousing and PostgreSQL, like 30% of our course would be with the data warehousing and Postgres, 70% would be Power BI. And these two, data warehousing and PostgreSQL, helps as like a foundational blocks, right? And also when I discuss it with Lakshmi, right, he clearly told that the students, those are reaching out to us, Hari, that they are like new to the IT or they want to change their career from non-IT to IT, right? So we should be making sure the fundamentals are also touched, right? So that they can be good enough to learn the new things. Okay, the combination is taken that we are going to touch the fundamentals, and the purpose I am taking Power BI is it is having a huge demand. At the same time, it's a Microsoft Office tool, that Microsoft tools. So the learning curve would also be very easy, right? And if I just show you, these are all like different streams: data engineer, data factory, data science. You would be heard about this word: data warehouse, database, industry solution, real time in Power BI. We are focusing on Power BI. At the same time, we are touch basing about the data warehousing and databases. Once we are got a job and we are working on Power BI, slowly we can explore other areas also, right? This is all about the course and a detailed information related to what are all the topics we are going to cover in each and everything, right? Any questions or queries with respect to course curriculum? And daily we are going to have 1 hour class, okay? Uh, Same time. In India, it's 6:30 to 7:30. In US, it is 8 p.m. for EST and 9 p.m. for CST, or something vice versa, right? Australia, it is 12 p.m. Each and every class would be recorded and uploaded into the YouTube. All the registered student will have the access. At the same time, I'm going to give you an assignment that you should be practicing. Yeah. Okay. So let me show you one mail. Just give me. So how the practice is going to be, that's very important, right? So after each and every class, right, I'm going to send an project task. If you see, let me open the first class for easy or anything. We are going to send the AI generated meeting summary of the class, right? So that you can quickly recap what happened in the class. At the same time, yeah, I'm going to share the class and the YouTube recording and the topic that you need to learn, the articles, okay? And at the same time, that the what the things you need to practice. Okay, and we are supposed to review this assignment daily when we are starting the class. Normally, I start the class 15 minutes earlier, and after the class also, I would be staying with the students so that we can review the previous class, what has happened, and if the students, whoever the students completed their assignment, that we can review in the class. Okay. Uh, the course fees is about $300, right? And just show me. Yeah, it's 300 US dollars or 250 pounds or 450 Canadian dollars, right? And for American region, it would be Monday to Friday. And for Europe and Asia, it would be Tuesday to Saturday. Okay. Everything would be loaded into the Zoom HD quality and uploaded in the YouTube within half an hour, within 1 hour of the class, right? Now, these charges are for the 15 days training, hands-on, and also helping you on the guidance of certification, right? Now, coming to the certification, all right? What is the certification that we are going to target and what is the rules we can apply? Let me open the certification portal. Okay. So we are going to target data analyst role, right? If you see the Microsoft Certified Power BI Data Analyst Associate, this is the certification that we are going to target. So whatever the course that we are going to cover as a part of our class, all right? 70% the classes that we are covering, the course would be completed. And after that, I'm going to give the material to read it. So when you do these two things in line, right, we can easily crack the certification, right? And the level of this certification is intermediate, right? Because our target is to get the job, right? So which means that definitely we need to have an intermediate level of certification, right? And the role we are going to get is data analyst, right? And this need to be renewed every 12 months, but the renewal is free of cost. You don't need to be worried. Just we need to take one more exam for each year, so that just to make sure that yes, we are well aware of the concepts and everything. The good thing is they have lot of practice exams, right? And these are all the topics that we need to cover one more time, a kind of a revision, right? When we go to the exam, we do the lot of revision, right? So once your course is completed, now as a part of revision that we need to cover these courses, once again, just reading them, and we have a good amount of practice papers are there, right? And total 50 questions would be there, right? And in the practice, when we are consistently hitting above 80%, right? That means, yes, we are good to take the exam. And the good thing here is we have the check your answers, right? So this is one thing while you are doing the practice, we are doing the practice that we can select the answer and we can check it and we can know whether it is right or wrong, and it will give the explanation. Let me show you. You plan to get data for a Power BI schematic from flat files. You need to select a location for the files. The location must provide the ability to configure schedule refresh for the semantic model. Which two locations would you comment? So OneDrive for business, let me see. Check your answer, see. And it will give you detailed explanations. A personal OneDrive provides the ability to automatically synchronize the files. Since it relies on OneDrive, it requires user credentials. Business option uses Microsoft Entra credentials. SharePoint Team Site option uses Microsoft Entra credentials. Next, you need to make changes to your data source. Which three changes are supposed by the data source settings in the Power Query editor? So adding column, renaming column, modifying the file path. Let's see. See, the wrong answers would be highlighted and the right answers would be highlighted in green, and it will give a detailed explanation, right? And we are going to provide a complete support for your practice and applying for the exam, right? The exam costs you, let me show you. The exam cost you approximate $165, including, I mean, excluding taxes, right? So we can help you to register for this exam. Okay, this is separate cost and this goes to the Microsoft. Okay, but at this point of time, you don't need to be worried about paying this one, because once we are starting our course and we are by reaching end of the course, and once we are doing a good level of practice, then we can register this one, right? Any questions or queries with respect to certification? Now, in terms of job market, let me show you. I'm just taking USA as a simple example. United States. See, approximate 11,000 jobs are there, right? And this is at different levels to be precise, right? Now, again, let us refine this one, because maybe internship, entry level, associate, just we are taking the entry levels only. See, 4,000 are there, right? And if you see the job role, suppose if I touch base the first one, how much they are giving, 47 to $55 per hour, remote, temporary. And what is the skill set they are looking? Design, develop interactive Power BI dashboards to visualize key performance indicators. This is part of our course. connect to various data sources and perform data transformation using tools like Power Query, build, manage data sets, data models, and reports in Power BI service, automate routine reporting process and enhance efficiency, right? Minimum 2 years of experience, right? So if you see the senior Power BI developer, full-time, remote. The good thing is lot of remote jobs also there so that we can also help you develop, publish, schedule interactive Power BI reports and dashboards. Use Power BI as catalyst for analytics and understanding. If you see here, use SQL and DAX to solve complex business logics. Bring together multiple data tables, Azure's environment to create Power BI dataset. Right? Collaborate. Qualification, bachelor's degree, intermediate expertise in DAX. We have one separate class for DAX, and SQL we are going to cover in the first part, 2 to 6 years experience, right? Strong organizational skills, self-motivated, professional written and oral communication things. These are the default requirements that they ask, right? Opportunities wise, definitely no doubt we are having a good openings are there. It's all about how we are learning the system and understanding it and able to present in the interview. Okay. Data analyst office CEO. And another good thing with the Power BI is, I mean, the reporting tools is we get a chance to closely work with the top management, right? Because if you see in this particular journey, an ETL person or data engineer, right, their job ends by providing data to the data analyst. But we data analysts closely work with the business teams, top management to understand what they want to see from their organizations, right? And then provide the required visualizations, reportings, or dashboards, which means that we got a exposure to work with the management depending on the project that we allocated, right? The future, right? Data is not going to stop like oil, right? We all heard about, I mean, if you heard like data is new oil, like how the demand for oil is growing day by day. Similarly, demand for data and data engineers is growing year by year, right? So definitely it's that how we are making sure that we are upskilling ourselves to meet the organizationals or the industry requirements. And myself, Ari, and Lakshmi, right? Our organization has a hands-on coaching, has would be there to help you in all stages. Training, I would be there, right? And guidance, I would be there. And again, during the on job, once you are on board into the job, if you need any technical assistance, I would be helping you, right? So let me put a pause here. Hey all, can you confirm that I am audible and you are able to see my laptop screen? Thank you very much. Right. So just now, right, we have understand, I mean, we have clearly gone through how our course is organized, right, and what we are covering. Now, as I told you that we have the data warehousing and the PostgreSQL are our minor subjects. Sorry for confusion. And we are going to cover them in the first week. And the next 2 weeks, we are going to cover the Power BI, right? So as a part of data warehousing, in today's class, the first class, we are going to cover the introduction and we would be seeing some terminologies, OLTP, OLAP, and Inmon Kimball, right? They are the scientist who has invented data warehousing, and we're touching what it mean by data warehousing, Snowflake, all those things, right? Now, to give an introduction about data warehousing, I'm going to take a simple image. Let me go to the Excel. Uh, I have this image in another document. Let me get that one. Yeah, let me maximize this one, right? This is one interesting diagram, and I want you to closely watch this one, right? This is a basic end-to-end flow of a data warehousing that tells what we are doing, right? Now, if you see on the left side, we are having data sources. Now, when you say the data sources, uh, we have discussed it, right? Each organization, right? They are going to capture lot of information. Say bank, right? We have a Citibank is there. In the Citibank, we are going to have a different business lines or different departments. HR department, finance department, loans department, right? Or wealth management department, like that. They would be having different streams are there. Now, what happened? Each department is going to maintain their own system, maybe or may not be, or some are going to have the common systems. Now, a loans department will be using a software, ALS, Advanced Loan Systems. Now, what that software makes sure is it will create an application, and once the application is saved, it is going to store that application specific database, right? So, in that way, within the organization, we are going to have a different operational systems based on the department or based on the business lines, right? Now, what happened? At one point of time, it is decided, okay, since I'm having lots of data, why don't we do the analytics on that one? Analyze. When you say analytics, it's analyze. Why don't we analyze the loans data? Let us consider we have a system that is storing the loans data, right? What kind of loans we are giving, right? How much amount is being dispersed? What is the age of the customers? Now, what organizations has decided? Initially, they started analyzing the data on the operational systems only at the initial days. Now, at one point of time, what happened? You have only one system, and this system is serving both the operational activities like filling the applications, opening, and some customer came and he want to have some queries, they will access that application and show. And at the same time, backend some the data analyst, they are querying huge queries on these operational systems to aggregate the data, right? Initially, it is good, but over a period of time, since data grows day by day, right? So these systems started having performance issues because you have one system. They try to expand the capacity, but even expanding the capacity would be to the a particular stage. But analysis is going to be done on the same thing. Now, what's seen is because of both the operations, the online activities and the analysis process is being done on the same system. So this system started having performance issues. Then they realized, okay, this is not the right way. Let us separate or take a copy of the data day to basis. Say today 10 records are inserted in the loan system. At the end of the day, get those 10 records and put it into the warehouse. Similarly, tomorrow there is a 5 new accounts are added. So the change, we call it as a change data capture, CDC. Whatever the changes happen day to day, capture all those things and put it in another place. Okay, I'm not using the word data warehouse, but in separate way, in a separate system. Now, we all heard about the word warehouses, right? Within the organizations, manufacturing organizations or logistics, they keep the warehouses, right? And the purpose of those warehouses is to store their goods. Either it can be a raw material or finished goods, right? To get the maximum profits. Similarly, since we are storing a copy of data in another systems, we are calling it as a data warehouse, right? And if you see that this data warehouse maintains the raw data as it is, say today 10 records are there, these 10 records would be stored in the raw data. Similarly, summarized data. Now, what we decided in the data warehouse is why I should keep the data as it is. Let me do one thing. I am going to get a frequent requirement of monthly sales data. Everyone want to see what is the monthly sales data, right? So instead of every time I am doing that operation, I will have a one table that store the summarized data, right? I will calculate it and I will put the summarized data into it so that whoever wants this summarized data, they can refer to that one, right? So that means when we get the raw data, we do the calculations and we keep a summarized data of one copy. So whoever want to this information, they simply read this information. They don't do any further summarization operations, right? So which means we have reduced the processing time, right? Prepare it, keep it there. Whoever want, they will use it, right? In the way summarized data. At the same time, we are going to have the metadata also. And this is very important because especially for banks, right? It is very important that if you take the customer information, right? We call it a KYC, know your customer. Whatever the information you are taking from the customer, whether it's his income, his salary, his health related things, that bank should clearly tell the regulatories that yes, I have taken this information to do X, Y job, and I am doing only that job. By mistakenly, if you've done any additional use of that particular data, it comes as a breach. And in organizations, there is a separate team like data governance team sits, and they specifically monitor this one. And this metadata helps us to know how your data is organized within the organization for whatever purpose that particular data is being used, right? And these are also again like a databases only or cloud systems or different file systems, but use the underlying thing. All the operational things would be stored in the operational data spaces, right? And since it is an operational thing, we call it as a online transactional processing systems, OLTP, right? Similarly, a copy that is taken and stored in the form of raw data or summarized data or metadata, right? We call them as analytical processing. That is called online analytical processing systems, OLAPs, right? These terminologies we need to keep in mind so that when I wake up you at the midnight that you should be able to answer it. Okay. Any questions with respect to the data warehousing? And once we have created a warehouse at the organization level, right? Again, we create a small data marts. Now, when we say data marts is also like a data warehouse, but it's just a subset of the data warehouse. Say, for my bank, I have created a central data warehouse. We also call it as enterprise data warehouse. Now, a sales department really don't need all the information of the warehouse. They are mainly interested about the particular customer segments or what are the offers or how much sales has done. So we create a view on top of the warehouse and we will give the data mart like sales data mart. And the end users or report users will do the reporting of it. Okay. Can you repeat OLAP and OLTP, right? The systems, those are used for the online transactional processing, right? The day-to-day business. In simple terms, I am telling you, the systems, those are used to address the day-to-day business. Say you are in the branch, right? In the branch, you would be having a laptop. They would be entering the details, saving it, or they would be updating. Those would be captured in one database. So those databases, we call it as OLTP. Okay. What is the main objective of OLTP is it should store millions of data. But if a single customer comes and says, hey, this is my customer ID, can you retrieve my information? Then it should be faster enough to pull the small amount of data. Okay, think in a business terms. You as a customer go to the bank and say, boss, I have a issue with my transaction. This is my customer ID. Then the person who is sitting in the desk, he would be taking that customer ID, quickly enter your customer ID, and within fraction of milliseconds, we should be showing the details, right? If there is any delay, then the queue would be increasing and there would be customer dissatisfaction, right? So online transaction processing system main objective is store millions of data and retrieve the data very faster. Okay. On vice versa, analytical systems also stores millions of data like raw data, summarized data, but they needs a huge processing power because what they do, they aggregate all your data, keep the data like monthly summarized data, quarterly summarized data. To do this one, what you need to do, we need to process the data, correct? So analytics, analysis. You think of it, you have a monthly expenses, right? You decided, okay, boss, I will track all my monthly expenses so that I can know every month how much I am earning and how much I am spending, right? That is your analysis. And if you want to do that one, definitely you need to add up all your expenses, right? Similarly, you need to add up all your earnings, right? Serena, is it right? So the analytical systems requires huge processing power. Okay. So to have these two, that is the reason we keep these two systems separately. Okay. Analytical things works even if we are building a data warehouse. The thing that should be in mind is that we are going to do lot of data processing, data aggregations. So that means accordingly, the architecture would also be built by the architectures. Hmm? Okay. Now, for you to go through this article, right? I have this one. Let me open the article also, because even the articles that you are supposed to go through, right? I have specifically handpicked based on the best one. Let me open that one. Yes. Data warehousing introduction. I prefer the AWS article, Amazon Web Services, because they have given a nice detailed explanation. I'm not going to read the entire thing, but I'm going to show you some bullet points. See, what are the benefits of using a data warehouse? Informed decision making, consolidated data from many sources, historical data analysis, quality, consistency, and accuracy, right? And it is very important that the data we are managing in the data warehouse should be having the high quality, consistency, and accuracy. Because the data analyst, Power BI or business is going to use that data, right, to give the insights how the business is going on. So any discrepancies or any quality issues may result in taking the wrong decisions, and it may result in the collapse of the bank or the organization also, right? So these are the things very important. Separation of analytical processing from transactional processing. As simple as say that you need to be, and all of you need to be clearly understand what it mean by analytical and transactional. Okay. Analytical processing means the analysis that we do, right? To understand how my business is going on. Transactional processing means the day-to-day activities that happens, right? Similarly, there are some terminologies are there: data warehouse, database, and data lakes. Now, could you please highlight how is this stored in what form, like Excel or some other applications to be used? Yeah, I'm coming to that one, Azim, right? Now, if you see, there are terminologies like data warehouse, databases, and data lakes, right? Now, let me come back to this Excel sheet just to show you one thing. When you are terming a database, right? This is the icon that is used. I mean, this is the symbol that is used to store the, I mean, to represent the database. Okay. These are the shapes that are used to represent the table. And these are the one that represents the files. Okay. Files. Now, when you heard the word about data warehouse, right? Just think of it. When you go to any warehouse, right? Everything is arranged in a very organized manner there. Will you agree with me or not? Right? If you go to any warehouse, like, I mean, or if you've seen in pictures also, right? That is organized, correct? So a database is a warehouse kind of thing, right? Now, within the database, you would be having tables. If it is a Teradata, then you would be having the Teradata tables. And whenever we are saying that we are storing data in the tables, right, it is in the form of rows and columns, and it is completely structured. Okay. A data warehouse or database, it stores a structured information because you define, yes, boss, this is my table having column A, B, C, and each column is going to have the data type. We are defining this is how the table looks. And we are going to store the data in that one only. So wherever it comes that we are handling our data through the data warehouse or databases, it's a structured data. Okay, here it is. Now at the same times, say if we take our organization, right, a Walmart. In the Walmart, the transactions, the day-to-day transactions are very heavy and very frequent, correct? So for that, they may use a PostgreSQL database or Teradata or SQL Server to make sure the information is accurately captured. At the same time, within that organization, you have an employee department is there. Let us consider when you say employees, right, there won't be a frequent change of the employees information, correct? When we compared with the sales. So they may store that employee information in an Excel files. So when we're saying these are Excel files, then these are semi-structured. Okay. So this can be a database or data warehouse. Now, within the organization, that if you are storing your data both in the databases and files, it is like a semi-structured. Semi-structured. Okay. And this thing we call as a lake house. Okay. Why we calling it as a lake house? Right? If you take a lake, right, we know it is going to have water, but at the same time, along with the water, it would be having different things also would be there, right? Normally, Hadoop systems where we can store the structured data and the semi-structured data, we term it as a lake house. Okay. Similarly, we are also using the word the cloud, where we can store the unstructured data. Now, when I say unstructured data, it can be a Facebook tweets, WhatsApp messages, right? Or Instagram tweets, right? There won't be any organizer things, right? If you see the Instagram hashtags and all those things, right? Someone put a message on top of it, different people will put, and different things would be tagged to it, right? So within the data, you have three different categories. Structured, those are stored in an organized manner within the databases or tables or data warehousing. Semi-structured, like data stored in the files, images, or some kind of a notepads, all those things. Unstructured. Now, when you say unstructured, beyond these things, which is not organized, but we use it. Okay. So you need to be having some basic understanding about these three terminologies. Uh, Structured, semi-structured, unstructured. Okay. And structured database or data warehouse, just putting in a way. I mean, where we are going to store them, as simple as it is. Semi-structures can be putting in the lake house. Unstructured, cloud. Okay. So just have this understanding. Now coming back, we learned about OLAP, OLTP, right? Now, where these data warehousing concepts came, right? We have two great scientists, that is W.H. Inman and Ralph Kimball. So like Newton, where he has proposed and he has kept his name. Similarly, W.H. Inman and Ralph Kimball, they have proposed this particular data warehouse concept, right? And what they said is, let me show you the diagram for easy understanding. What Kimball has proposed is, yes, boss, you have different systems in your organization, right? So what you do is get a simple data mart created for each and every one of the system, right? When you say data mart, it's again a data warehouse for that particular department, right? Say I have all the OLTP systems, right? The data is being generated from the sales department. Similarly, data is being generated from the HR department, finance department. Now, what Kimball has proposed is start creating a data mart for each and every system. Okay. And then integrate all them at the enterprise level, at the organization level, right? I mean, people who have learned Scrum or Agile methodologies, right? What it says, if you have a big goal, business outcome, right? Just break them into the user stories. Those can be actionable and delivered, right? Similarly, within my organization, if I have 10 systems, right? Don't start working with all the systems at a time, right? Start with the first system, create their data warehouse, and then integrate it to the data warehouse. This is like a iterative methodology, correct? And the initial time investment would be less. Slowly, once this is proven success, then we can go to the next source systems and create data mart. And once we got the enterprise data warehouse, on top of it, we create a reporting layer. This is what Kimball has proposed. And on the vice versa, what Inmon suggested is, no boss, don't go with the individual one. Get all the systems, right? Get the resources onboarded, get all the teams on the same table, right? Design, right? Create a architecture diagram, Define how these systems are interrelated. So create a data warehouse and then give a copy for each and every department so that they can run their queries on each and every of their data marts, right? So what Inmon suggests is, no, let's get everyone to the head office, right? The corporate office. Let them sit at the same drawing room and the same room, and let's draw the picture at the enterprise level, and then give that plan to everyone and ask them to build, so that all my systems would be sitting at one place, and I can have, as an organizational CEO or COO, that we can have a one single visibility how my data is being organized. Okay. Now, can you tell me which one is effective? Is it Inmon or Kimball? What is your thought? Inmon or Kimball? Okay, Daniel suggested Inmon. Why Inmon? I want to know what on what basis you have considered Inmon. Because whenever we select a particular approach, right, we also need to tell why we are considering that approach. Right. Okay. See, both are successful. That is the reason today we are learning this one even after decades. Okay, because these are introduced in 1990s like that. But still we are reading these means, yes, both are having the advantages. So let us see what are the advantages both are having. I have a comparative sheet for quick and easy understanding. Let me put it, let us see that one. Why this is showing like this? Huh. So introduced by Ralph Kimball and Inman, right? If you see the approach, for Kimball is the bottom-up approach for implementation, right? When you say bottom-up approach, right, within the organizations, you know hierarchy, right? The top management would be there, and further departments would be segregated. And in the Kimball, what we will sit with each and every department or business line, and we build the data mart and we integrate to the organization level. That is the reason it's a bottom-up approach. Whereas Inmon is a top-down approach, correct? At the organization level, we are building and we are giving a separate copy to each and every one, right? Data integrity, it focus on individual business areas, correct? If you see here, when I start building my data warehousing, right? For Inmon, we would be building for each and every individual business area, correct? Whereas in the Ralph, it's an enterprise area in the Inmon. In the Kimball approach, we are going to be the individual, but in the Inmon side, it is enterprise. Building time, it is effective, efficient, and takes less time, right? Obviously, because even in the agile methodologies we learn, let us break down into the actionable items so that we will be start working on one department, and since it is a small piece of work, we can deliver it and end users can use it and they can come back with the feedback whether the results are coming accurately or not, right? Whereas bit is complex and consumes a lot of time for the Inmon. The reason is because we need to get all the departments together and we need to understand how it is integrated. So it's a complex one and consumes a lot of time. It has a iterative steps and cost effective. Initial cost is huge and the development cost is low, right? Since initially we need to get all the people and work on the plan, integrate it. So we need very skilled persons. We need to get the inputs from each and every department and how to build that one. So initial cost is very huge, but the development cost is low. Skills required, it does not need such a skill, but a generic team will do the job. Obviously, a HR department is there, right? The skills, those are people who understand that department is good enough, but it needs specialized skill. And finally, we have one negative point for the Kimball is the maintenance is difficult, right? Why maintenance is difficult? The reason is because each and every department creates their own data marts. That means you would be having similar kind of tables because an employee would be there in each and every department. That means there can be multiple employee tables, multiple customer tables, right? So that means the maintenance is difficult. Here, maintenance is easy, right? Because we are getting together all the departments. That means we are going to remove the redundancies, data redundancies we are going to remove. And we are going to maintain a single table like a customer table or the employee table. So the maintenance is easy. It prefers to be denormalized model. It prefers data to be normalized model, right? So guys, I want your attention here, right? Because this terminology denormalized and normalized is very, very important for the students who want to excel in the data analytical world. Okay. So to explain these particular concepts, denormalization and normalization, right? I have some data curated. I have a couple of tables which I have curated. Let me show them. All right. If you see this particular table, right? This is a sales table. Okay. Are you with me till now? Or any doubts or any queries with respect to the Inmon and Ralph Kimball approach? Okay. Now, what it is saying is Kimball follows a denormalized, whereas Inmon follows a normalized model. Actually, this is the best advantage for Inmon being stayed for the longer years, right? Why it is, let us see. So I have a sales table, a single sales table, right? It is having information related to the transactions happen, like what product purchased, what is the customer name, address, how much quantity, and everything, right? Now, within a single table, I am capturing maximum information so that if a customer comes and asks me, hey, this is my transaction, I want to know the details. That's what happened, right? Within the outlet. The query can quickly refer to the single table and get the information. Okay. So when you are storing the maximum information in a single table, right? That is called denormalized table. What is the advantage? The data retrieval is very faster because all the required information you are keeping in a single room or single table. Normally the databases rooms I compare with the house. If you see, if you consider database as a house, right? Each and every table is like a room that stores specific information, right? Within our house, we would be having rooms segregated like bedroom, kitchen, hall, and they will have their own purpose. Same thing. Customer table will store customer information, employee table will store employee information like that. Okay. Now, in a denormalized form, maximum data, maximum information stored in a same table, single table, right? So, all the operational systems normally go with the denormalized so that the data, if a customer comes and asks, yes, I want information related to my transaction to a quickly and faster way. Okay. Data sits in a single table, faster to retrieve, right? Fine. But what is the problem with the denormalized thing? Data redundancy. Suppose Harish as a customer, right, visiting this store multiple times, then we are storing the customer address information multiple times, right? Similarly, Michael from that particular shop, he regularly visit to that shop and he purchases something, one or other things. That means the data is being stored, same data is being stored redundantly. Okay. And we all know, right, the hard disks, right, data is costly. Even if you purchase some space on Google or cloud, they charge you per usage basis, right? So do we really need to maintain these data duplicacy, data redundancy, right? So what is the concept has came is that, okay, boss, what I'm going to store is I'm going to store the customer addresses or customer information in a separate table like this. It's like storing all your information. If you take um a college, right? Whenever a student joins in the college, all his information would be stored and he would be given a roll number. And in his entire academics, the roll number is the unique reference for him. Will you agree with me? Similarly, what normalization stores is, boss, let us store the repeated values in a separate table. Say customer address being going to be used very frequently. So I create a customer address table and I will give an ID. Similarly, customer information, I'm going to store all the customer information in a customer table. Now, whenever a transaction happens, instead of storing his entire details, I will store his reference, his key reference. Now, if you see here, the sales table, the usage of sales table is exponentially reduced. Instead of storing some 50 characters or 20 characters, I'm simply storing one or max two characters based on the number. Right? So what it means by normalization is distributing the data into multiple tables so that we reduce the data repetition, data redundancy by using the key values, right? And all the analytical systems uses the normalization approach because in the analytical tables we know, right, we store the historical data, years of data. So we go in this way, then it is going to be shoot up our bill on the storage, right? So whenever you want to retrieve the data and when you fire a select query, what it does is it will connect to the sales table. Sales table in turn connects to the address table and customer table based on the key values, right? So in this way, the data retrieval takes more time, but the benefit you are getting is your data redundancy is reduced, right? And we call it as a normalized form. And all the databases, right? How these tables are connected through a relationship. That is the reason all the database management system we call as a relational database management system. So when we go in the SQL, Postgres SQL, I'm going to give further details about it. Okay. Now, this sales table is called as a fact table, right? Where it is going to store all the facts about the transactions, about the observations. And there would be supporting tables with more details related to those factors. And these supporting tables are called as a dimension tables. Now, if I show you this in a pictorial representation, let me show you this one. Even the same thing uses the Power BI also. I will show you, see. Just I want to show you one particular line. See, star schema is a mature modeling approach widely adopted by relational data warehouses, right? That means relational databases. It requires modelers to classify their models either dimensions or facts, right? Now, dimension tables describe business entities, things you entity like people, person, places, all those things. Here also what the dimension table is storing, the customer address, customer information, all those things. Similarly, the product information, right? And the fact table stores observation or events. Now, when you say the observations, the stock price change, weather forecasting, weather temperature, all those things. When you say events, the transaction, the sales, all those things, right? Now, if you see here, the sales table, which stores the facts, sits at the center, and the dimension table provides the additional information. Since it looks like a star, we call it as a star schema. Okay. Now, did you got the basic understanding about the fact and dimension table? Because entire data analyst, data warehousing, data engineering, everything lies in this particular simple approach. And how these are connected in the star schema. So a small example, see normalized table. We store the product key and more information about the product key would be provided in the dimension table, right? And the relation, right? This fact table would be having many to one. Star in the data warehousing, star means many or all, many to one. Why? Because suppose if I am hitting a customer ID, I should be having only one record in the dimension table so that I can know, right? Suppose if you have a mark list, in that you would be having roll numbers, right? Within the mark list, you will be having different subjects, roll number one English, roll number one Max, roll number one Science. But this roll number one should be pointing to only one student in the dimension table, correct? So that is the reason the relation between facts and dimension is many to one. Or if you, the question, this would be one certification question also. You have a dimension and fact table. What is the relation between dimension and fact? One to many. And to tricky you, they will again ask the question states that what is the relation between fact to dimension? Okay. Dimension to fact, one to many. That means you would be having one customer unique record here, and that customer can do multiple purchases. So multiple customer IDs would be there in the fact table. One to many. Okay. Even database has the right level of controls when you apply these constraints that it won't allow any duplicates in the dimension table. It won't allow you to store different customers with same customer ID. Okay, we run more when we come across in the SQL. Okay. Now further, we have a snowflake schema also. Now what is snowflake schema? Say we have this customer address table, right? In that we have the city name and state, correct? Now we know within a city there would be hundreds of customers. So that means instead of me every time writing the city name and state continuously, right? I will create a city table. Now what customer address table would be referring? The city ID, and it will refer to the city table for the more details. Fact, dimension, and subdimension like child, parent, grandparent, that kind of thing. So when you have the multi-level relation, then we call it as a snowflake schema. Okay. If we have a single relation like this, And this article is from Power BI. So Power BI has provided a separate article for the data warehouse concept. Means think of it, how important these basic foundations, I mean, we should be aware. I can simply open a Power BI and say, hey, you can drag these visuals and add some columns, so you get a visual. But that is not going to help if you want to be a self-learner or if you want to be a excel in this career. The foundation, the fundamentals are very, very important. Okay. Even though we are an engineering graduate, the underlying science subject is very important. Same thing applies here. Even if you are a data analyst going to work on Power BI, the data warehouse concepts, SQLs, knowledge about database is very important. Okay. So if it stops at just one level, we call it as a star schema. But if these dimension tables further referring to another dimension, it is called as a snowflake schema, like a multi-level. See here is simple. A star schema fact table refers to the product, but this product refers to the subcategory and category dimension tables. And this article is one of the best article. Okay. Yes, Raniel, you are right. It's a modelization, like how you are organizing your data in a best way. Within the data model, even when you got our source data into Power BI, yes, we also review all these things in our data model. Let me show you that one in the Power BI. Like in the Power BI, we have the report view that looks like a PowerPoint presentation, table view that looks like a Excel data, and also we have the model view that tells how your data is organized, like a data structure architecture. So these are all things coming in a single thing called Power BI and helps you to work. So Power BI is a tool, right? And within the Power BI also, right, we have the data transformations, transform data. I mean, it's not like that if your source data has provided that I need to use exactly. We have the capability to transform the data as required. If you see, these are all some transformations. We can transpose reverse rows, right? We can replace, if you see here, remove duplicate columns, remove duplicates, remove errors, transform. We can change lowercase, uppercase, trim, clean. These are all options. I mean, class by class, we are going to learn. What I need from you is, once today class is completed, just block another 1 hour in a day. In that 1 hour, revise the recording and do some hands-on, so that when you are coming to the next class, you would be easily able to understand the things, right? So we have covered OLAP, in-mount data warehousing, star and snowflakes. We have seen normalization, data normalization. We have seen dimensions and fact tables. We have seen, right? Okay. So we have pretty covered the first class data warehousing. So let me pause the class here.